Hello everybody, video here for you today. These are the retro no-cap recaps of The Curse of Oak Island Season 4. Episodes 14, 15, and 16 originally aired in February 2017. If you missed my recaps of previous episodes, there's a link in the upper right. Let's get into it. Previously on The Curse of Oak Island, people have been looking for an incredible treasure for 228 years. Rick and Marty look at the previously hammer-grabbed wood from 100 feet down borehole T1, especially the small log. Rick thinks that it could be part of one of the original platforms found every 10 feet after the money pit was discovered. The three pieces carbon dated from this borehole, including the small log, came back as old as early to mid 1600s. The T1 borehole hits clay and then water at 150 feet down, and then bedrock, meaning the hole is done, with no treasure found. Rick, Jack, and Charles take stonemasons to examine some of the boulders of Nolan's Cross. This one that Fred found buried 1 degree off the midpoint between the two arm boulders has a cutlass indentation on it, which is highlighted here, as well as a carved face. The rest of the boulders in the formation are cone-shaped granite. This one is sandstone, and Rick doesn't recall ever seeing a piece of sandstone that big. The stonemasons can't say anything definitive about the face stone, but they say they haven't seen anything like the coffin stone, and that the smooth surface here on the bottom is not natural. One of them says that it could get that way being dragged on gravel for a very long distance. After finding no conclusive evidence in the three boreholes they budgeted for this year, the Laginas and Craig decided to do one more borehole. It will be called Gal 1 for the Lagina brothers' parents. They find wood again in that hole. Rick says it's hand cut. Narrator Robert Clotworthy reminds us that in 1861, treasure hunters dug what is known as Shaft 6, 18 feet west of the original money pit, in hopes they could tunnel east under the flood tunnels to the treasure vault. At 118 feet underground, they began to dig east before they soon hit a flood tunnel, ending that venture. A few days later, they heard several loud crashes underground that were likely both the cribbing of the money pit and the timbers of the shaft 6 collapsing to the bottom. Craig thinks that is what we looked at in the last image. And in this one is from the 114-foot level. The spoils from Gal 1 are being taken to Lot 18, a few hundred yards away, and Gary is metal detecting them. His efforts are rewarded when he detects this iron sailcloth needle. And more so with this gold-plated British military button. Joan and Jean McGinnis, great-granddaughters of money pit discoverer Daniel McGinnis, returned to the island to memorialize their late younger sister Joyce, who had recently lost her long battle with cancer. They had some of her ashes blown into a glass ball and put it here in Daniel's House Foundation, a Canadian historical landmark. They got special permission from the government to enter and hide the glass ball in the bricks. While the sisters are there, an expert examines their cross they previously showed in an episode of an earlier season. She says there would have been emeralds in the holes, but they have been knocked out. She dates it from 1550 to 1700 and says it would have been cast in the Spanish colonies, likely Mexico or Peru. Rick and Charles ask her to also look at some of the other recent finds. She says this is a 1700s tag. She looks at it with a jeweler's loupe and tells them it says Ball on it. It was found on Samuel Ball's homestead lot. She declines to say anything at all about the spike found in the swamp until she does some research and looks at it more in depth. She later returns to Oak Island to say that it is a wrought iron Spanish galleon decking spike and dates 1575 to 1600. Fred Nolan before them and then the Laguna team have both found parts of a ship in the swamp. Back in the Gal One Spoils, Gary and Jack find this piece of metal, perhaps a corner bracket on a chest. Gary says it has a square hole in it that would have been for a square nail, hand forged, old. Back in the Money Pit area, the Gal One shaft goes through a section of only clay and then brings up more wood and this piece of metal from the 150-foot level. In 1804, the Onslow Company began digging in the Money Pit area and found a large amount of charcoal 30 feet down. They speculated that it was for a furnace used to draw air down into the shafts for the original depositors that were constructing vaults or tunnels. The next bucket brings up a smaller piece of metal. Then the oscillator hits what Irving equipment representatives think is metal, and it can't be grinded through. In 1887, William Chappell and Frederick Blair, after drilling through what is now known the Chappell Vault at 153 feet, then hit what they thought was metal at 171 feet and also could not drill through it. Irving rammed a 4-foot tall chisel bit through the obstruction and will use a smaller hammer grab, to lessen the danger of it getting stuck under the edges of the caisson. The first bucket brings up this hand-forged corner plate. And this washer that matches the corner plate hole size. Subsequent buckets brought up similar-looking hand-forged nuts. Unfortunately, they are past the level of the caisson now and can't continue hammer grabbing. The device was momentarily stuck previously, and neither the Laguna team nor Irving equipment wants to risk it getting stuck again. The same expert later says the corner plate is 1650 to 1700 and that it would appear that pieces from one or more ships were being used underground. In the season-ending war room meeting, they agree that they will continue the search even in the swamp that Marty so much wants to be done with. No Cap recaps of season 11 will debut Tuesday late nights. I'll also continue retro No Cap recaps of season 5 through 8. With this one, seasons 1 through 4 and 9 and 10 are done. Upcoming streams, Ramsey Coach with Coach Steve Money most Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central Time. There's also 2 Ramsey Show after show shows in December, Thursday, December 7th, and Tuesday, December 19th, right after the Ramsey Show video on YouTube ends at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 Central Time. Once again, I'm Coach Steve Money, Ramsey Solutions Certified Financial Coach, and if you've got money problems or you just want to make sure you're on the right track, you can schedule a free financial coaching consultation assessment with me at calendly.com/Coach Steve Money. The links are also in the video description. You can email me about coaching or anything else on my YouTube channel, like Oak Island, CoachSteveMoney@gmail.com. Channel donations can go to paypal.me/Coach Steve Money. You can add me on the gram at Coach Steve Money. And of course, this YouTube channel is youtube.com/Coach Steve Money. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting.